It's year 6 of ClayClan. If you're new here, check out the series playlist to catch up. I really wanted to get this done way earlier, but life had other plans. Happy holidays, by the way. I have something extra with this year, that being a family tree. You can find the link in the description, but maybe hold off on checking until after the video, since it has spoilers. To start, I have a little animatic for you. The details will be explained as we go over the relevant cats. Silverpaw remembers the dream she had when she was a kid. She is reliving it now, after all. She remembers someone who had protected her when she was first lost here. But they're not here now. The shadows feel like they're closing in on her. She can't ignore the urge to run. Her lungs are burning. She can't breathe. Still, she runs. Until she collapses and the shadows surround her. For a while, there is nothing but pressure and terror. Until she feels a pelt press against her own. Someone tells her to breathe. It takes a moment, but she does. There's someone grooming her fur. It reminds her of her mom, and of the dream she had when she was a kid. When it's a little easier to think, she looks up at her comforter. So, as for what that was about, you'll have to watch on. We had 2 deaths, so into StarClan we go. First is Orchid Kid, who was grabbed by an eagle. She was saved by Liarpaw, but died from her wounds some moons later. Counting last year, we had 2 kitten deaths in a row. This sucks. Orchid Kid was a 4-moon-old Buzzy lover of stories. Her full name would have been Orchid Buzz. She's Small J and Chickpea's daughter. Those 2 aren't together, but they were doing fine just co-parenting. She does have a sister who's still alive, so that bloodline isn't dead yet. She didn't have time to do much, but she did have an interaction with Swift River, where the clouds parted to shine a light on just the 2 of them. They interpreted it as a sign that they were meant for great things. Well, that was definitely an omen they misread, because Swift River died to green cough. This was devastating to me. In the beginning, Swift River was actually my least favorite of his litter, but he'd really grown on me. Losing him so soon hurts. This also means Small J's first litter is dead. At least he gets to be with Beetleflood and Turtledapple again. Pale Star too. He'd missed them. Swift River had a pretty chill year before he got sick. He went on a lot of duo patrols with his mate Frostlily and things seemed good, but it was cut short. So not a lot to report on. Except that Swift River might not be the happiest with Frostlily's following actions, but we'll get to that later. Now, onto the living cats. Rosestar still has all her lives. It's a little comforting, but Palestar did lose all 9 in 1 year, so who knows what will happen. Regardless, she's been good. There was only 1 new outsider, but that was a kid. Otherwise, the clan has been respecting her decree. She surprisingly became good friends with Snowy Tunnel and even gave him an apprentice. She had an argument with her youngest daughter, but chose to be the bigger cat and made amends. Weasel Whisker was in charge of apprentices this year. He'd set up an early assessment for Liarpaw, which went well, and he helped another apprentice finish their training since their mentor had retired. That's it. Except for a mistake on my part. Remember in year 4, I mentioned that Weasel Whisker was wearing flowers he got from Small J, and then forgot to draw them for 2 years in a row? Well, they're here now, and let's pretend they've always been here. Shellbramble has also been doing well. So well in fact that I have nothing to say about him. Well, he did help dig out Quakeflick when she was almost buried alive, and he is very proud of his youngest daughter, as are his mates. I did wish for more quiet years for this lot, but it doesn't make for a very interesting commentary. Small J is still kicking at 139 moons old. She could retire, but she'd definitely wait until a new medicine cat apprentice was chosen, which hasn't happened yet. As mentioned before, Small J and Chickpea had 2 kids together. They aren't mates. Well, I did hope that these 2 would spend some time together, but this wasn't quite what I meant. That was probably the only good thing that happened to her this year. Just after recovering from birth, she falls into a river and has to deal with water in her lungs. Then, during that, her youngest daughter and eldest son die, which she feels terrible about. Not only due to grief, but because she couldn't take care of them. Maybe they'd lived if she was healthy. Now she feels a distance growing between her and Silverpaw, but doesn't know why. At least she's good with Blizzard Tuft. I swear to God, if more of her children die before her, I will lose it. Cinderbeetle has been interesting this year, so has Ricewipe. They're mates now. I wasn't all that happy with this ship, but they have been good to each other. Though they did get together shortly after Ricewipe got rejected by Blizzard Tuft. Coupled with her previous love troubles with Frost Lily, it feels like Ricewipe saw Cinderbeetle as her last option for romance. Which isn't great, but again, they do seem to like each other. But they did move a little fast, because the moon after getting together, Ricewipe got pregnant. So now they have a son, Daisypaw. More on him later. Ricewipe had a tougher pregnancy since she was also suffering from heat exhaustion at the time, but she got better. She also found a rogue that wanted to give up her kid, which she took back to camp. The kid's not adopted for bloodline reasons. They're not that bonded anyway. Also, she's now bloodthirsty. No clue when that happened, as I only noticed while writing this script, but her sisters did get attacked by animals this year, so maybe it's not directed towards cats? She will have a higher chance of committing murder now, but luckily she doesn't hate anyone. She does dislike Snowy Tunnel a little, who is Daisy-Paw's mentor. She also had a little crush on him before wondering if she should expose him for goat breaking, so that's interesting. She also dislikes Fringe mod, stemming from some unpleasant interactions when she was a kid. Ricepipe's mostly been hunting and helping Cinderbeetle gather herbs. And speaking of Cinderbeetle, he's been out of commission for 5 moons this year, first due to a sprain, and now due to slipping on ice and breaking a bone. Which bone? I don't know, we'll find out next year if it scars. It must have been pretty bad, because he's also suffering from blood loss and shock, so his survival rate isn't the best. Anyway, Cinderbeetle hasn't been up to much. His relationship with Thornfeather has improved a little bit. Both are able to admit each other's strong points, and she even defended him in an argument. Still, they're not close. He still borderline hates Antler Shard. Mizar is now the second oldest warrior since Chickpea has retired. She's been a background character this year, and she's not happy about it. She feels frustrated at not being more important to the clan, and with her age, there's not many chances for her to do much. In relation to that, Mizar doesn't like Liarpaw all that much, probably due to her clan princess status. She could also find her loudness grating. She seems like the type to enjoy the quiet. In better news, Mizar is crushing on Fringe mod. I don't think he's noticed, and they haven't interacted much, so I can't say what their dynamic would be. Right now she has white cough, hoping for the best for her. Chickpea is still in the Warriors lineup because she's dating Quickflick. As for Chickpea's fling with Small J, she didn't cheat on Quickflick as that happened before they got together, though the kids were born after. It was a bit awkward at first, but Quickflick has taken things in stride, and surprisingly enough, she's the closest to Silverpaw. Yes, even more than her biological parents. But she is her mentor. She has no idea about the dark forest nonsense her apprentice is involved in. Worth noting, however, is that she highly dislikes Small J. While Quickflick can't blame the kids in this, she will absolutely blame Small J. She did not want this drama, and she isn't scared to let Small J know. She almost got buried alive on patrol, but otherwise has been doing fine. As for Chickpea, she retired in Greenleaf after her and Small J's kids were born, and after something happened to her apprentice. She's remained cordial with Small J, and while I don't think either were expecting kids, they've done well in co-parenting. But Chickpea is the least close with Silverpaw. They had a squabble where Silverpaw accused Chickpea of not caring about her. This was after Orchid Kid's death, so Chickpea's grieving might have affected how she treated Silverpaw. She did lose a kid after all. She's still quietly unhappy with some clanmates. At Sweet River's wake, she tried to say something nice about him, but couldn't come up with anything. She'll likely fit into the grumpy elder archetype as time goes on. So, Frost Lily. She lost Sweet River, was extremely devastated by it, and then got together with Thornfeather the very same moon. There might have been talks about going poly, but based on vibes, this is definitely a rebound. It also doesn't reflect well on Tonefeather, but she has been acting off for some time now, so not wildly out of character, I think. Another thing to mention is that right above the getting together status, they had an interaction where Tonefeather overheard Frostlily talking badly about her, and they still got together? Despite that, Frostlily is still not free from the love drama because in addition to her crushes on Ricewipe and Antler Shard, she also has a crush on Blizzard Tuft, which is... Why do you have a crush on your dead mate's little brother? Also, I never mentioned it, but Frostlily used to have a crush on Roastar as well. I'm glad it's gone because I definitely would have had to veto that one. Tonefeather got to mentor Liarpaw. She and her littermates aren't all that close to Liarpaw since they had their own messes going on, but that didn't get in the way of being a good mentor. One last thing on her is that Tonefeather has a fairly high dislike of Silverpaw, which is mildly amusing since Silverpaw straight up does not care about her. I'll chalk up the dislike due to resentment over being the kid sitter. She is a great mon, but it's not something she actively enjoys. Antler Shard's the only one of her litter to remain single. She's actually the least messy of her littermates relationship-wise. Funny, since she's the one that's literally stinky. She didn't have much going on other than health-wise. Her tail got badly injured by a dog, which did scar, and she caught white cough for a little bit. She seems to have the same relationship with her great kid-sitter trait as Tonefeather, because Antler Shard dislikes her nephew Daisypaw and another new kid. She's good at corralling kids, but doesn't like when they get hyperactive. I could see her choosing not to have kids whether or not she gets a mate. She actually doesn't have close connections to anyone outside her family, romantic or otherwise. Duskheart and Snowy Tunnel still don't have enough going on to warrant their own sections, so they're drawn together again. Something happened to Sparrowpaw, so Duskheart and Snowy Tunnel mostly spent their time looking for him. They had no luck and drove out a bunch of solo rogues instead. Duskheart seems to think her family is all she needs because she has not made any effort to get to know her clanmates. She did get the flower bulbs she's wearing from Mizar, so there's something. Snowy Tunnel's also befriending Mizar, so it seems the siblings want to mostly have the same friend group. He's continued his role as the supportive brother and uncle, though he doesn't feel equipped to help Sparrowpaw with his depression. I'm rooting for this family to find happiness. Blizzard Tuft has been doing his best, like genuinely. He had so many statuses of how he's being nice to different cats and how they're appreciating his efforts. His friendship with Fringe mod is not toxic, thank God, and they have no dislike for each other. He's been acting as Fringe mod's guide when he needs one. He's also becoming friends with Mizar and Snowy Tunnel, the latter being his mutual little crush. The age gap isn't my favorite. Maybe in the future. He rejected Ricewipe, which I support. But Blizzard Tuft also has a notable crush on Frostlily, which I do not ship. Think, please. Despite his efforts, Blizzard Tuft has fallen into bad habits at times. He said something cruel to Duskheart and was jealous of Tonefeather laughing with friends. He has been building his own friendships though, so hopefully he'll feel more secure in the future. He also beat up a fox all on his own, which was rad. Sparrowpaw had a bit of a year. We didn't get to find out if Chickpea was a good mentor to him, because Sparrowpaw was abducted by aliens on the very first moon of the year. So, aliens are definitely canon. I played this year on Halloween again hoping for some nonsense, but the only events I got were a pumpkin and this one like 4 times. Disappointed, 0 out of 10. Anyways, I tried seeking him out, but Sparrowpaw just could not be found. I was fearing he would be lost forever, but after 5 moons, he turned up. He missed out on quite a bit, though he was only 2 moons late to his warrior ceremony. He was honored for his hard work. He feels disconnected from the clan. He's sticking by his mother and uncle, showing no interest in putting himself out there. He could benefit from talking with Shellbramble since they've both gone through the same thing, but Sparrowthought doesn't want to bring up bad memories. He's come to the conclusion that he's just not meant for happiness. We seriously need a mediator in this clan so that I can pretend they also do therapy work. Please? Liarfeather is amazing. She was mentored by her older sister, Tonefeather, and even got the same suffix as her. For some reason, Weasel Whisker thought it was a good idea to give Liarpaw an assessment right out the gate, which turned out fine because she nailed it. Her task was to track down her mentor hiding in the territory. She methodically worked to the grassland and successfully ambushed Tonefeather. As mentioned before, she saved Orchid Kid from an eagle when she was an apprentice. Even though the kid didn't recover, that was still quite a feat for any cat. Though when the fact that Orchid Kid couldn't survive became clear, Liarpaw was really shaken and ran off during training. When Tonefeather found her, she was in tears over not being fast enough to fully save her. Tonefeather comforted her, saying she did more than enough, but when Liarpaw was still gloomy, she started acting silly to get her to laugh, which helped. Didn't take Tonefeather for the silly type, but I guess that's a kid-sitter trait working its magic. Liarfeather was able to complete her training in 11 moons, and she was honored for her observance. She's been doing well as a warrior since then. She did have that fight with her mom, but that's now smoothed over, and right now she's actually in the medicine den. Liarfeather got attacked by a group of rats, and while she did fight them off all on her own, she got injured. She's just trying to act tough. Silverpaw is 9 moons old, compassionate, and has an active imagination as well as an interest in the dark forest. I know there's some other traits that imply a stronger dark forest connection, but I saw this chance and took it. Mostly because when she was a young kid, she had a dream. She was hopelessly lost in an unknown forest until something came up to cradle her, telling her everything was going to be okay. She did tell Cinderbeetle about it, but he laughed it off. Now, if she'd told her prophetic mother, maybe things would have been different. Silverpaw does not have control over her dreams of the dark forest, and it only happened once before the events of the animatic. And most importantly, Silverpaw does not know who Oddheather is. She did not introduce herself, and the clan has been fairly harsh on her. Still, Oddheather did reveal that she is being punished for something she did, but not what. Silverpaw feels it can't be that bad since Oddfeather's been so nice and helpful to her. With her parents occupied with their own grief and drama, Silverpaw has felt a bit neglected. She did lose an older brother and a twin sister. Oddheather just happened to be the cat that offered comfort she was too afraid to ask for. She wants to help her out, and she's getting some extra training in return for the nightmares, so it seems a pretty sweet deal to her. So Silverpaw is technically not doing anything wrong, since ending up in the dark forest is not her fault, and she's not learning any forbidden battle moves, but she's on mighty thin ice here. Daisypaw is 6 moons old, strict, and interested in herbs. Now, it would have been great if he'd become a medicine cat apprentice considering that trait and his dad is one, but nope. He caught kitten cough but survived. It might have scared him off from the medicine den though. And now his dad is on the brink of death. So he might not be a medic, but he is very strict with preventing disease and keeping good hygiene. He'd definitely butt heads with Antler Shard over that. His mentor is Snowy Tunnel, who gave Daisypaw a lesson on hiding in the grass, so I think he might be good. Still, time will tell. Fringe is doing fine. He only had some joint pain this year, which is an improvement. As mentioned before, his friendship with Blizzard Tuft is doing well, and he has also started to befriend Duskheart. They have very different vibes, but hopefully they'll get along. I'm very happy to keep this segment brief, since it means Fringe didn't go through drama. Also, he's not the only paralyzed cat in the clan anymore. Grass Kid is a 3-moon-old, self-conscious, constant climber. He was born paralyzed. He was left in ClayClan's care by his senior mother, Caroline. she was a rogue. At this point, I'll mention that while we did have rogue encounters this year, they were all singular cats, never in a group. So it's pretty safe to say that victory is ours. Grasskit has been mostly looked after by Snowy Tunnel's family as well as Small J. No clue what he'll do in the future, but if he wants to be a warrior, he can. Fringe Mud could give him some guidance, but I don't see him stepping out of retirement. Those were all our clan cats, but there's still a little more. Billy. Yep. Oddheather has been plotting. Simply put, she desperately wants to get out of the dark forest. She's convinced herself that if she helps Silverpaw, she can be redeemed and get into StarClan, which is a pipe dream. While Silverpaw has accidentally entered the dark forest as a kid and apprentice, every visit since the animatic has been because Oddheather pulled her in. She's actively putting her in more danger than necessary, but Oddheather's not letting herself accept that. She's very lonely, since she's the only cat there in-game. Though realistically there would be others, but I don't feel like making OCs for this. The point is, Oddheather doesn't have some grand evil plan she's working toward. She's just scrambling. And that's it. This was my first attempt at making original story content for this series. Though I have come up with a lot, everything's been based on very specific game events and explaining them after they've happened. This is the first where I'm actively setting up story points. I hope it works out. If you like this video, remember to like and subscribe. Go check out the family tree if you're feeling confused. I plan on updating it with each new video. For updates on future ClayClan videos, keep an eye out for my posts to stay up to date. Well then, bye!